and that sort of thing. It got to that point where, but at the end of the day, we were footballers. You know what I mean? We always got told, don't worry what goes off the pitch, just worry about what you do on the pitch. Whatever happens off the pitch, you can't affect.
Yeah. Well, that didn't really happen with you, did it? Because you had big problems off the pitch, didn't you?
Yeah. Do you know what? It's funny you say that, because people always said, anybody I've spoke to or anybody people speak to, they always say, how did Chops manage to do what he was doing on the pitch and have all them problems off it?
So if you didn't eat Rustler burgers and cans of Coke and get in debt with fucking absolute psychopaths,
yeah,
we probably would have got promoted.
Yeah,
you would have definitely.
I tried my best.
No. You probably would have been a top 4 club in the Premier League. You would have been looked at. I genuinely think you'd be in the Premier League in a decent side. If
when I was a kid, I had people said I had the world at my feet and stuff like that. But then obviously I had problems.
Well, it depends what side of the. You know, if you're looking at a championship following side, or you're looking at someone who's who knows his football, it depends where you're looking. People like us would say, yeah, he was brilliant. They would say you was wasted talent. Yeah. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah,
it just depends where you're looking at it from. Bellamy would probably say you was a wasted talent, you know?
Yeah. But it was one of them things, do you know what I mean? And whatever. I always thought that my job as a footballer, whatever I do off the pitch is not going to affect what I do on the pitch. When I step over the white line, I just fully focus on football, because I know you've got fans in the stadium that have paid good money to come watch you play. And if I'm fucking about and that sort of thing, then I'm cheating the fans, do you know, if you know what I mean? And I didn't. And that's probably why I got to a stage where I could manage playing football and forget about everything.
Well, it's a form of escapism as well.
Yeah, it's a happy place, isn't it?
Probably a place where you want to be.
Yeah.
So, you know, there's that side of the coin that we could say that maybe, you know, you was doing all right anyway, you know?
Yeah.
So when did the gambling come about, mate? Like, when did it start?
Probably 18, I think, when I was at Newcastle.
Really?
Obviously, I was in Newcastle when the gambling was really bad, the horse racing and that sort of thing. It was Kieran Dye introduced me to one of his bookies.
Keelan, mate.
Give you a limit every month.
Bad influence, isn't he?
And stuff like that, you know what I mean? He'd give me a limit.
What happened?
So Kieran introduced me to his one of his bookies.
So they know, because you're a footballer, you're good for the money, boom.
Yeah.
What? And when you say one of his bookies, we're not talking about William Hill or lad.
No.
You know, this is a guy.
Yeah. So you'd send a message to him, and he'd
I'll be real with you, like why don't alarm bells ring off in the like think about it now, mate. Like, what? Who in their right mind would want to gamble with just a guy like? I know you have bookmakers, you know, and like the mob have made millions and billions of dollars on bookmaking for years, but like surely you just go to a place like, it's red flag straight away is what I'm saying if you go into a guy to make bets. Well,
I think I asked Kieran to put me a bet on, and Kieran says I'll put it on with his bookmaker. Then I owed probably, I think I owed about 50 grand or something.
I've heard of personal barbers, but not a personal bookmaker.
Then I said to Kieran, Juventus were playing someone, I said to Kieran, put me like fucking 120 grand on or so. And he's like, nah, I'm not doing it, Chops. I was like, just put it on. He's like, nah, I can't do it to you. He says, if they lose, you're 170 grand in debt. And Juventus won. And I came in, I said, oh, Juventus won, that would have wiped all, that would have cleared the balance on my debt.
Hang on a minute.
He was, yeah, I'm looking out for you, though. I'm not putting a bet on that much for you. So then Kieran told Alan, I had the same agent as Shearer. So Kieran told Shearer, I think Chops has got a problem with gambling. He's asked me to do this and that. He owes my bookmaker X amount of money. Can you speak to your agent and have a chat with him?
So, if you put a bet on, you just said that if you put 120 on, you'd lose 170. How does it work?
Well, obviously I was 50 grand in debt with the bookmaker. So if I was asked Kieran to put me a bet on so every player would have a different limit that would pay off every at the end of the month. So it wasn't
like, you didn't have 50. So you bet 50 grand.
50 grand.
And you didn't have 50 grand?
Well, I was only on fucking I was only on £2,000 a week in Newcastle. Do you know what I mean? It was one of them things.
But you were just thinking, I'm going to get it back.
Yeah, well, you chase, don't you? And that's why I said to Kieran, I'll do this. And that's when they started to... Alan spoke to my agent and was like, listen, have a word with Chops, he's got a problem. But it didn't help when you're 17 and you're on a plane going to Malaysia for pre-season, and you're watching all the lads play 3-card brag, and there's like 40, 50 grand in 50s on the table. Do you know what I mean? You're thinking, just to look at cards, do you know what I mean? You could have 3 threes, the best hand. Walk away with 50 grand. So it's just little things like that probably got me attached to it.
False sense of what it is like.
Yeah.
What happened to that debt day? Like, what happened?
Well, when I left Cardiff, I went to Sunderland.
And you still owed this geezer money?
Yeah, I still owed I was paying them off every month, but I still owed him a little bit of money. Do you know what I mean? So I paid off my debt when I went to Sunderland with a sign-on fee. And then I was fine at Sunderland. It was okay. Obviously, they knew that I had a gambling problem. So Roy Keane straight away was like, send him to Sporting Chance Clinic. Straight away, you can have 2 weeks there. I didn't want to go though, do you know what I mean? I didn't want help. I was getting forced to do it. So Sporting
You'll never change any addiction if you're doing it for other people.
Exactly. So Roy, Sporting Chance was fully booked. So they were like, put him at Capio Nightingale, which is bang in the middle of central London. Go there. So I was going there. I was staying in a Landmark Hotel, going there 9 till 5. And there was a Ladbrokes around the corner. So I'd go there 9 till 5, come out and go straight to Ladbrokes. Because I didn't want to be there. I didn't want to stop. Do you know what I mean? It was one of them things where I was getting forced to do it. And until you want to do it, you're never going to fix yourself.
Can you describe what that feeling is like, being in debt, knowing you're owing all this money to someone and you're chasing it all the time? How did you feel about it?
Well, it wasn't... do you know what? I didn't really feel it at the time, do you know what I mean? Because at the end of the day, I was just thinking, I'll play football, I can get the money back, do you know what I mean? That sort of thing. I didn't really think about, like...
At the time, you're saying, is it?
Yeah.
Okay.
I didn't really... But now looking back, and like, when I owed people in Scotland big amount of money, do you know what I mean? When
it did eventually hit you.
Yeah.
Yeah. We'll talk about that.
Yeah, but I went to Ipswich. Ipswich were the ones that made me exclude myself from every single bookmakers in Ipswich.
What do you have to do? Go around it?
I had to go around everywhere and exclude myself.
I think it must have been the odd one.
Because there was one condition for them, that they were going to give me a 250 grand loan to pay off people in Scotland, and I would pay the money back every month out of my wages back to Ipswich. So that's how bad it was getting. Do you know what I mean? And I was lying to Ipswich at the time, because I was still being able to put bets on. So
yeah, of course, you didn't cover every. You didn't ban every betting shop, did you?
Well, I just get my mates to do it. Yeah. So them in Scotland were sorted. Then I was getting introduced to...
But what you're thinking now is, because I've done it myself, is, okay, then let's start again now. I've got another fucking £250 to get in debt, 250 grand to get in debt.
Well, I started, but I went down to people in Essex. Do you know what I mean? And
what happened with the Scottish? When did you realise it was serious, and how did that happen?
When did that happen? Probably when one of them went to... well, he's my mate now. But at my mate's house up in Newcastle, John Somerville, who's he got a name for himself up in Newcastle. So the guys in Scotland contacted...
How did you... Yeah, take it back. How did you get involved with these, first of all?
In Scotland, through one of the other players at Cardiff.
Okay.
They would introduce me and that sort of thing.
So there was another gambler in Cardiff, yeah?
Not as bad as me, do you know what I mean? But...
So, how are all these footballers gambling with personal bookmakers? None of them go to the Ladbrokes. You can't just go to a lad, Brooks is a footballer, can you? Or William. Why have you all got personal bookmakers? I don't get it.
Because you can put massive amounts on.
Right.
Do you know what I mean?
I see.
You get a credit limit off them.
Maybe I'm just being naive. I don't know.
Is this the clubs that you went to, were they aware of like your issue before bringing you in?
Ipswich, were you?
Ipswich were aware because they were the ones that give me the loan to clear it.
I wonder how many football clubs and actually like this though. Like I think it's not just a straightforward, let's sign this guy. I bet there's loads of problems with not just gambling but others, and they've got to like, we'll get him in but we're going to pay you this, and it's like
there's loads of clubs out there, and there's loads of players that gamble. Because I've had players, wives, girlfriends contact me and say, my partner's...
Is that for you to tell the club? Or
I would never ever
never snitch on
player.
No,
I mean yourself. So you go into Ipswich, did you have to make them aware of it, or did Newcastle?
No, I think it was an open. It was in the open at that time, was it?
Well, they knew I had an addiction, but they wanted to know how serious it was and stuff like that. So then I was telling them, this and that. The Ipswich were actually on the phone to them, to the guys up in Scotland.
Does I'm big Stephen French. I'm joking.
And stuff like that, you know what I mean? They were shouting and bawling. This is the CEO of Ipswich Football Club.
Can you imagine, like, there's some heavy gangsters, like, I've just been on the phone to Ipswich, I have. One of the star striker owes me a couple of it. It's just mad, like, isn't it, like?
Yeah, that's how serious it was, do you know what I mean? And then obviously...
So, yes, sorry. So, you got introduced by a player. Who was the player?
Paul Quinn.
Paul Quinn.
Yeah.
Okay, so he knew this
well,
mob.
Scottish, so he knew about it.
What were they? Glaswegian, Edinburgh? Yeah. You don't know where they were from?
No.
Okay, and they're obviously well known then, are they?
Yeah.
Okay, so you start. What was their cap?
Well, I wasn't betting with them. I was borrowing the money. Do you know what I mean? So you know what it's like when you borrow money off.
So how much?
Off people.
Double bubble.
But that's what you go to at times. Do you know what I mean?
Was that what it was? You'd have to pay double back, or
pretty much, yeah. So when I was getting paid at the end of the month, my wages was just going straight back. Do you know what I mean? And I got to a point where I was borrowing more than my wages.
So it wasn't even like one lump sum. It was like every month you'd be paying.
Yeah.
Like, I paid that. Can I have some more?
Yeah.
Just got you by the balls, bro.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
And were they cool for a long time, or were they like, "Yo, listen, you're starting to rack up a big thing here," like, or
no? Do you know what? They were pretty cool. And then obviously Celtic wanted me, and the guy from Scotland come down to Newcastle.
He was a Rangers fan
to meet the people who were like, "We'll do the deal and we'll just clear all his debt." And I was like, "I don't want to go Celtic. Do you know what I mean? I'm not doing it."
You'd have been close to it, man.
Well, that's the thing. Do you know what I mean? It's once you're up there, and stuff like that. It's
Newcastle's far enough, isn't it?
Yeah. So and then I went to, obviously when I was at Ipswich, they were helping me and everything, and then I think I borrowed probably 30 grand off someone in Ipswich. Do you know what I mean? And because I was paying so much back to Ipswich, I wasn't able to pay these guys back, but they were fucking.
Quickly before you go on to that, so who's this John Somerville? And
he's look, back in the day he probably had a name. He had a name in Newcastle.
Okay.
I'm really good friends with him, really close with him. Do you know, from the area where
and the Scottish people went to him, did they?
Yeah, and said, "Can you have a word with Chops? He owes me this amount of money. We want to get it sorted." So we invited them down to his house. Sat in his house, and I turned up and they were there, and I was like, "Fucking hell!"
Oh, you didn't even know?
Nah. Do you know what I mean? It was one of them. But at the end of the day, I had to get it sorted. Do you know what I mean? It wasn't going to get.
And was it just a diplomatic chat off him, or was it like, "Listen"?
No, it was just a proper chat.
A proper chat.
Yeah, it wasn't like we're gonna fucking do this and do that. It was like we need to figure out how it's
fair play.
off. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Whereas some people are totally different.
Pretty lucky probably then to have...
Well, yeah, I seen that down when I was at Ipswich, when I borrowed money from people in Essex.
Okay.
When a car full of Somalians turned up at the training ground and stuff like that. Yeah, it was.
You borrowing money off Somalia?
No, I didn't borrow the money off the Somalis.
They got
but
them
they
in.
Sent them to come up and see me. Do you know what I mean? So I was
What, at the training ground?
at the training. I was trained, mate. Even at Ipswich, I don't know how I was playing. Do you know what I mean? Because when I was training, I was always looking about, thinking. So I get a text from someone.
You've done all right at Ipswich as well.
Yeah, I've done all right the first year. Yeah. I'd get a text message saying, "Oh, such and such is going to come and see you," and stuff like that. So then it got to a point where somebody would be waiting, pretending, asking for an autograph, and he would go, "Listen, go and get the money sorted now," sort of thing. Do you know what I mean? But he was pretending that I was signing a book. And do you know what? I got to a point where I was like, I've just had enough. Had enough of my life. And I remember coming, and I'll get upset about it. I remember coming down from Newcastle to Ipswich on the train, and I sent a message to a couple of my close mates and my mum and dad, and I was like, I've had enough. And I was ready to do something. Do you know what I mean?
Have a drink, mate. Have a drink.
But that's the situation I got in. So then I spoke to my dad, and he was like, "Give me the number, I'll speak to them." He was like, "How much is it?" and all that. My dad paid it straight away and everything. And then since then, it's like that was the final nail in the coffin. Do you know what I mean?
How much was it?
It was only like 30 grand.
Yeah.
It wasn't big amounts.
And they were like the others was a big money. It just shows the difference in people and the way they go about things as well, though.
But it's not just that. I was going to sleep with like fucking chairs in front of the door. Do you know what I mean? Just in case someone tried to get in. And I was sleeping in my bed with like fucking kitchen knives and that sort of thing. Yeah. On a Saturday, I'm scoring goals against Bristol City and Brighton and stuff like that. People don't realise what was actually going on. Do you know what I mean?
People don't, do they?
Yeah.
Was you living on your own at the time? Or?
Yeah.
That must have been hard. It could have been worse. Could have been with kids and that, but that must, at the same time, it's very hard, isn't it?
Yeah, well, it was tough, but that's the situation I was getting myself in, and I had to deal with it. And unless you don't deal with your problems, then they're not going to get any better.